Morning, I gotta start on my workout vibes so I can get it all in today. Look, it's Imara Ifawuyi. We are here from the beautiful, beautiful city of Sao Paulo in the country of Brazil today. My topic of discussion this beautiful Tuesday morning is, if we have the passport boys, do we also have the passport girls? Because there's a whole lot of us out here living it. Not only on their own, but living it in the world, traveling globally with their children, including myself. So I want to chit-chat a little bit about that while I get into this morning routine. I'm going to wait see if anyone comes over. I think I'm going to jump up and do some more stretching on the wall rack today and some weights. So this is the spot that's in the bottom of the building that I live in here in Brazil. So that's one thing about when you move to a lot of the Brazilian cities, your buildings will include, workout equipment / a gym. In our building, we have a little co-working space where you can kind of catch a little business vibe. We have desks, different places you can sit. And yeah, so let's get into the subject. Like I said, I'm going to wait a few more minutes. That's why I got on, because I know it takes a while for people to actually show up. I got on early, even though I'm working out right now. But yeah, y'all, oh my God. I'm so interested in this whole passport boy thing. It's so silly to me because it's not a new concept. The dudes, especially brothers, have been, traveling around the world doing these kind of things, the sex tourism thing. For as long as I can remember, I remember distinctly as a young woman living here in Brazil. I was in Brazil at the time. I was probably, maybe about 23, 24. And how just aware I was of how many of the children, because I lived in Salvador at the time, up north in Brazil. And so you would interact with the children in different ways. Certain children would get used to seeing you around. You would get used to buying them maybe lunch or, giving them money from time to time, helping them out. It's almost like you had adopted children. I know I had a few. And so, and that's just, the situation with so many of the children living in favelas and being, dealing with immense poverty and stuff like that. But it was just amazing to me how much there would be so many, like men in particular, like stalking around these children. Like if I wasn't with them, some of my friends were like helping them out, you would see maybe at night while you're out, wandering the streets, drinking, having fun, these children, mainly surrounded by white male, pedophiles and vultures. But the sex tourism thing, I've seen it in Africa, I've seen it out here in Brazil, I've seen it everywhere. And I don't even know if I can say that word on YouTube, because YouTube is just so crazy right now. But sex tourism is not a new concept. And so the passport boy thing, I'm like, they really have just utilized that whole conversation to try to, kind of create this narrative about how intolerable black women are in the U.S., right? And that they have to run off somewhere. But It don't matter. We could be the sweetest things in the world. We could be the most feminine, the most fit, the most everything, and they would still be running around looking for more, right? Somewhere else, something else, because that's just the nature of men, especially those men. So for me, it's always just a laughable thing, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what we're doing. They still gonna be out looking for something else, right? So, but yeah, so passport girls, for me, what I'm seeing is a trend towards so many women, sisters, and our approach to it is different. I see a lot of women coming up with a plan to leave America, but they're doing it more with the thought of wanting a good quality of life, wanting to provide their children with a better reality, less exposure to the issues that America comes with, which I think we know it's too many of them to even name. Saving money, so being able to go somewhere where expenses and overhead isn't as costly, and also just having a good life. Like this is the feminine approach to things, looking for quality, looking for a quality of life for themselves and their children. This is our mentality when we do things. And so the passport girls, definitely, I've never heard of any of the women I know, and I know dozens of women, some of them with children, who are living all over the globe and have been long term, I'm talking years, in different countries. I've never heard them out, worried about the dating scene excessively, or trying to find a man, or trying to run up on younger men and use them by manipulating them, trying to make them think that they're going to take care of them, or giving them money, becoming sugar mamas. Like, I haven't seen any of these women doing that. So it's just funny, like, you can't even compare the movements with the movement for black women that is very much centered around the whole soft life thing. It's so powerful. I'm just seeing it more and more prevalent, and I really suggest to sisters that we get to a point where we clear our heads, clear our minds of all the stuff that has been cluttering it, all the things that we've wasted our energy on over a lifetime of being programmed, and really, really clear ourselves of any kind of notion of needing to be in relationships or any of these kind of things, and get out and explore the world. It's the number one thing. I'm divorced, I've had men, I've chased men, been chased by men, been through all kinds of shit, been through hell and back. And the one thing I would suggest to a young woman is that she get her passport, and she's got her income stream, and she knows what she's doing for money. Passport girls, and get the hell on. Leave the United States. Do not stay in the United States. And that's really like a no man's land in a certain type of way. Get out and explore the world, see what's out here, and always keep way in the back of your mind anything about coming together with someone else or whatever, because that's a lot to achieve. That's a big deal, to find someone else that your life is going to meld with and mix with, and who your issues and their issues are not going to clash and cause drama and heartache for everyone. It's very hard to do that. So, you wouldn't want to put that as your top priority of things to accomplish in life. Top priority, I think, for people who are so isolated mentally, like Americans are, is that they free their minds, go out, learn new languages even. Learning a new language is really powerful for expansion of the mind. Get out of your comfort zone and go and do something totally different. And I wouldn't even be looking to try to mate or do anything like that until, as a young woman, until I have, gone out and expanded in that way, period. And so the passport girls is not really a movement, but in my mind it is, because it's so many of us just on the same beat, on the same tip right now, doing the same types of movements, understanding that the soft life is not going to come per se from staying in nobody's country with all this political drama and nonsense, and just the fakery and the fuckery, and the passport boys and all the red pillars talking about how we're not worth shit. So it's like we have so many other options in the world, you know? We have so many other options. We have so many things that we could be doing. The world is big, it's vast, and from what I can tell, most of the sisters I know are making good money and have the capacity to get out there and be free, basically, you know. So I don't know. For me, I know tons of families that are living in Costa Rica, that are in Mexico. We got down here where I'm at, throughout the Caribbean. I know some women in Africa with their children. I mean, it is like, it's crazy. I know some women in Bali, in Asia, moved out to all these different countries that are considered third world or, not as developed, which is another thing we need to talk about, because a lot of these countries can be more developed in a lot of ways than America is. But, so, yeah, at the end of the day, this is how I think women are going to really free themselves right now, is to step into that consciousness of, not needing to attach themselves to anything outside of their own personal growth process and their own expansion, and travel is such a huge part of that. So that is like my number one suggestion for a younger woman is, get your passport. Like once you've secured and you know how you're going to be able to live, whether it's remote work, contract work, any of these kind of things, having an online business, so entrepreneurship, once you have solidified that and you know stably what you have coming on in, and that it will not be affected by location. For instance, a lot of these remote jobs are hybrid. So, when a job is hybrid, they're going to want to see you sometimes in the main office. It might only be once a month. But so, you have to be considering those kind of things when you're getting ready to jump off and go international. But get your income streams now. It's not as easy as it used to be. I'm an OG, online entrepreneur. So that's what I started doing when my daughter was in my belly. So it's been almost 20 years now. It's been more than that because I was doing it really before her. I started off selling candles, but for years I have done different things. But what I've noticed is as I pivot and try new entrepreneurial efforts, it's not as easy because of social media and all the different algorithms and stuff. It's not as easy to drop in and do something, but figure it out and do it anyway. There's so many options now. You could be reselling, print on demand. You could be doing a TikTok shop, doing a stand store, selling products, selling services. If you want to do mailing products, I don't suggest it for people who are thinking about travel, because obviously when you start traveling international, it's going to be hard to send products out unless you have a distributor in the States, or you have them warehoused to Amazon or something like that where they can fulfill for you. So you always have to be thinking about, how am I going to set up my income streams? And I need several, because you really do need several of them in order to really be able to keep your head up. And if one falls off, you have another, you know what I mean? So how can we keep the income streams going while we're off living our best lives overseas and not worrying about all this extra shit that we've been trained to worry about, like trying to be somebody's wife, or, am I going to have kids and all this extra stuff? All that is so extra, but it's just a brainwashing. And I love seeing women that are waking up to it. And I can tell you, as a woman who had no idea, was totally brainwashed, and has children now, that, I wouldn't have chosen had I been in my right mind, though I love my kids, okay? So, yeah, I love the childless movement. I think it's dope. I think that's the direction women at this time, just given what we're dealing with and given the state of basically males. I think it's the best thing women could be doing for themselves, is staying childless and focusing on travel and living their best lives. Period. But for those who do have children like myself, you can still free up and get out there. And that's the beautiful thing about it. I've been moving around and exploring the world with my children with one of them for 19 years. The other one's younger, so 12 years for him. So it can be done, and you don't have to be rich. You don't have to be wealthy and shit. Sometimes, you use the law of assumption or, law of attraction or whatever, and you could just be somewhere and be super worried because maybe you've lost some income streams or things aren't flowing like you would like, and some magical shit just starts happening. And look up and you're in a different country for 2-3 years. All of those things can happen. I've seen it. I have so many friends that have changed their lives by just stepping into the life they wanted to live, that they had envisioned for themselves, and just riding it out and letting everything work itself out. So there's a lot of ways to approach this thing. I like a hybrid kind of using a lot of the kind of the spiritual laws and working with my mind a lot, but also making sure I have secured certain income streams, certain nest eggs are in place, certain fallbacks are in place. And that's just how I travel now. When I was younger, I was definitely more fancy-free and risk-taking. And that can be good, and it can also be tricky. Because your mind, you got to keep your mind, you have to be able to not fall apart mentally when under stress and duress, especially when you're somewhere that you really don't even know that well. So, yeah, y'all, be a passport girl. Like, get out there. They talking about passport boys. Let them have that. Let them have their fun, because what's happening with them is because of the way that they're approaching things and the nature with which they're approaching this thing. Where it's all about women and using women and, looking for sex workers, basically. And, all of the mentality, the way they approach things is backfiring on them. That's why you're seeing a lot of them are getting killed in places like Colombia, straight up poisoned, killed, gunned, and not even, like, literally just jacked up. Even here in Brazil and Rio de Janeiro, they had, these guys that were out, bad intentions, as usual, bad intentions, sniffing around Rio with women, thinking it's cute, and they come up missing and dead the next day, because it's like, all of that stuff is just backfire. You can't just be on a colonial mentality, thinking you can go and use the women of other countries, thinking you can go manipulate them to be your ex-slave, or however they just want someone to cook and clean for them and have sex with them, and that's the value of a woman to them, right? And so you can't do that and move with that energy and not see the compensation, the recompense. It's going to come back around. And so a lot of them, because of the mentality and the way they're approaching this energy that we're in, just on a spiritual level, where everyone is just needing to focus internally and expand themselves. Instead of them doing that, they're still moving with that vampire type mentality. And so this is why it's not working out as good for the passport boys. But passport girls, because I know women, I know how we approach things, I know how we do things. You can have a splendid, beautiful life, letting go of America and letting go of this energy of having to grind it out to have a good life, or having to be somebody's ex-slave and sit up in the house serving some man, and all of this stuff. Like, really, we have so many options now. And for those, because I know for some reason it's a lot more men that come on here. Like, I literally, this channel, like, really originally was for women. And really, like, my target market of people who I speak to is sisters, women. I'm not really that interested in other people, because we're the ones that need to be spoken to, so that we know we have so many other options than what we think we can do. Yes, I know that, being in a country like America can get very, like, it's hard to break out of the comfort zone of that, especially when you have a lot of family and stuff there. But we still have to kind of start to kind of unwrap and come out of some of this mentality that has been placed in us, that we can only as women, there's only one path to follow. You might go to school, you might do this, you might do that, get you a job, find your man, get pregnant, have a family. But that is not the path of today. That's just not the path of today from what I can tell. Sisters need to be opening their horizons, opening their eyes to different things. It's cool if you have a supportive situation. That's one thing. But yeah, I totally am pushing for, and I know with my daughter, I have a 19-year-old, and she knows to focus on herself and what she's doing. There's not no time to be looking around trying to be dating or mating or doing no silly shit. Like, just focus on preparing your life so that you'll be ready to jump off and be successful doing whatever you want on your own when you're ready to leave my house. All of that, you'll have all the options in the world. But don't get distracted. And as I say, don't get distracted. Passport girls, get your shit, get your education or whatever you want to do, and get on. That is my number one suggestion for young women, and me looking in hindsight as a wise woman who's older now. That's my number one suggestion for you. Be a passport girl. Keep it moving. I love YouTube because I get to see all of the creators who are just out here fancy free, like literally going from country to country. Now, I never moved like that. I was always like a long-term stay type. But now, folks, it's just, I love, there's one, she's like one of my favorites. What is her name? She fly. She's in Turkey right now. This creator that I love watching. And she just be out. Turkey, Mexico, Colombia. Next thing, she's in Europe cruising around. Like, she just be out. And she be living and emerging and immersing everywhere she goes, and then she keep it moving. Maybe come back, maybe not, but still, just free, growing, learning languages, taking on new types of friends, people you never thought you would have been hung out with. That's what it really comes down to. Stephanie Ferry, I mentioned before too, she's amazing. She's a single woman, childless woman, a little older than me. She has a wonderful platform where she talks about sisters just needing to travel. Don't worry about it. Just set it up and do it. Believe that you can do it. So it's not that big a deal now. So many people are doing it. Like, so many people are all over the world right now. I love it. When I was coming up and when I was doing it first with my children, it wasn't as many people to look to that were doing that. So I looked kind of crazy at the time. It was like 20 years ago almost. People were like, what the heck? Why is she moving like this? But it was just something, it was an urge, it was something that I knew I had to do for my own sanity. Because one, I couldn't comfortably stay in the U.S. for long periods of time without feeling just completely off. A lot of bad shit was starting to happen when I stayed in the U.S. that I've never really had, generally in other places. Like, it was just, I couldn't really catch a vibe in the States. I never really have been able to that much. So I would just leave. I would come, I would stay. My grandparents were alive at the time. I would help them. I'd be by them, stay some months, wrap it up, go overseas for a year. And that was kind of just how my movements have become over the years. During the pandemic, me and my kids, we moved out here, so we came to Brazil in 2021. And we stayed in Brazil for about 15 months. And from there, we went, to Miami for a couple of weeks max. That's about where I'm at with the U.S. now, 2 to 3 weeks. And we went to Costa Rica and posted up. We lived at the volcano. You can see some of my old videos and shorts of us living at the foot of a volcano, going to hot springs every day that were fresh off the volcano, toucans in our yard, or pendulas in our yard, and just living, So before that, we were in Brazil. We had little monkeys running around in our yard a building full of like people who were hella cool with. So it was like a party all the time over there. I mean, it is just the way people live in other countries is so different, especially in Latin countries. They're so into like bonding with people they care about, friends and family, having a good time, not being too overly stuck on, judging people for this, judging people for that, but just enjoying life, especially here in Brazil. The energy is about family, friends, and enjoyment, and that's why it's one of my favorite places. It's not to say you can't get that in different places, but they got all of that without the overlay of hella holding people to all these high standards of you need to be this religiously, you need to do that, you need to do this. Not all the rules is not there socially. It's really like you can just connect with who you connect with and just continue to make those bonds stronger by enjoying each other more and more without the politics. It's a whole lot of politics and stuff. I notice in the U.S. around family and around just life in general that takes away from the soul of the thing, you know what I mean? What's up with y'all? Thank you for coming in. Can y'all put a like on the video for me? I feel like I have to say that. People don't seem to naturally do that, but it's so important because when we make these little videos, YouTube's, it's very hard, and if we're dropping nuggets and stuff that are useful for you, it's hard to want to keep coming on here when like nobody really is liking the video, because YouTube just don't really acknowledge the video if there's not some kind of interaction going on it. So you can just drop a like. I'm about to come up off this bike in a little bit. I usually just get on and I'll get on the bike first because it takes folks like 10-15 minutes to show up anyway. But yeah, so that is my suggestion, ladies. Be a passport girl. Be a passport girl. They ain't talking about passport boys. Be a passport girl. Approach it the way we do things. Not out here looking for young boys. Not out here running no sex tourism game, because women do it too. I've seen that too. I've seen it in Africa. It really happens a lot in Africa. And with a lot of them. I mean, all races of women do it. But it's nothing like what I have seen with men and what they are heralding with this new passport boy movement, where they're trying to act like they're just traveling because the women where they're from are so bad, black women in the States. But really what it is they just want more. That's just their nature. They're greedy. Nothing's ever good enough. Nothing's enough. Sisters in the States are not, and no one's enough. They need more. And they want it for nothing. They don't want to pay. They don't want to give. They don't want to do right. They just want more. And so they're traveling the world looking for more. It's just a narcissistic reality. It's the bane of our existence on this planet right now. Have so many people who only care about, having more and more for themselves. It's just what it is. So I know with women, it's going to be another approach. I'm not saying women are perfect, but when we go places, things improve, things get better. We'll be welcome. We bring our children. If we're loving mothers, the children become part of the societies. They engage, we engage. It's an exchange. This is the feminine energy. It always has been. We're naturally social. And that can be traced back to, you can study the natural social nature of women. We were always working together, even if we were doing agriculture together in more agrarian societies. We would be there together, chit-chat, and raising the kids together in places like Africa and societies like that, and it was natural. There wouldn't really be men around like that. Yes, you have, babies with men, but it wasn't all this intermingling. It was very much, in Africa, it's still like this in a lot of ways. Women doing what they do together. Men doing what they do. Whether that's out training, hunting, whatever it is they be doing. They have their roles, They have their ways. And usually they're together over there. And that's a lot of us, we don't understand how unnatural America is, how unnatural the society we live and have been programmed in is. Very unnatural. People who live close to the earth and stuff, they're not doing it like the West. The West is completely out of sorts with nature. So, you know, I mean, even where I'm at now, it is a South American country, but still in the Americas, it's still very Western. Um, but there's a lot of the remnants of like the natural social strata and the way things were done historically or are done in places that are really still very agrarian in a lot of ways and very just nature based. So yeah, here, so at the end of the day, you know, women, I think we just need to come back to what we naturally do. In Costa Rica, I got a really good vibe from the expat community there. It was a lot of women and children. Even if they had a husband, the standout energy was like the women and the children there, and a lot of them were Black Americans, and they were just beautiful. They thrived in community. They connected with the Costa Ricans. It wasn't like it was just people keeping to themselves or trying to create these little offshoot communities. They were accepted. Costa Ricans are very easygoing, very nice people, like without the fluff, like not fake, like some of the truest blue people you're gonna come across. Just down to earth. I've always loved them. And when we lived there, I got to see the truth of like, wow, these are some very natural, organic people, really normal people. Like normal. Like these days it's hard to even find something that feels like, ooh, this is how it's supposed to be. So I had noticed that the expat community there is especially tight-knit and lovely. And so, you know, if you're looking for a place to go with your children, you know, as a mama or whatever, that might be one to consider. No, you're not going to get the same level of like savings. So you need to be prepared to like go somewhere that still feels like you might be in the US in terms of the financial impact, but not quite. There are some savings in certain things, and just the quality of life is amplified so much. It's so much better. The only reason I'm not there is because I love Brazil, but and I like to do my little city stints from time to time. And I don't like the main city in Costa Rica. So San Jose, I didn't like it at all. Like Costa Rica's beauty is in those rural communities, in those communities at the foot of the mountain, in the valleys, on the hillsides, you know, at the foot of the volcanoes. That is the beauty on the coastline. Let us not forget, you know, on the river, like those small communities in those small towns is where Costa Rica thrives, right? It's amazing. Beautiful, amazing country, I have to say. So yeah, so these are just some of the things. Let me know, do y'all have any questions? I just feel like I'm always just talking, and I would love to be interactive. I really do love answering questions. But, you know, the whole premise and the purpose of me coming on here today was because I think that we should just become passport girls as sisters in the U.S. I've always done that. Thank you for the like. Can you put some more likes on the video? Thank you. I think we should just all become passport girls, like just free up. You know, it's probably not going to happen. All those things that we thought we were going to be doing as little girls, because we were, you know, have been trained out, and our mamas and our aunties had us trained out to think there were certain things that were ideal for us. A lot of us are waking up to that now. So now we can create a different path for ourselves. And part of that creation process, I think, is when you know, allow yourself to just let all of that go and get your passport and go see something different, experience something different, experience people living in community properly, you know, experience how things are done in other places that don't have so much political overlay and so much fakery and facade. Like the U.S. is a very facaded place. I think I told y'all in the last live I did, I literally was there for 3 weeks this time before we got out here, came back out here. And I was so confused, like I didn't even understand, because after you're away for a certain period of time, it becomes even more like weird. So I really didn't even understand it, and I ended up in a freeze response. So you know when we talk about the vagus system and like the limbic system and everything. Like, I literally, you have your flight, you have your fright, you got your freeze. And I was full freeze. Like, it just was like a trauma response at the end of the day. I didn't even know, I just felt traumatized by being there. It was weird because I hadn't really had it like that before. And usually I like taking my little small trips to the US, right? But this time, my spirit was not in it, so I don't know what's happening there all the way. My girlfriend, who's an astrologer, kind of keeps me abreast of some of the um, political happenings and what they mean on an astrological level. So I know there's something churning, there's something happening there, but I was very uncomfortable to the point where I was like wanting to go see all this family and do all these different things, and I couldn't even get it together to do any of that. We just left. So yeah, being aware, check out my girl Femi, Raw Goddess on Instagram. Check out some of what she posts about what's happening in regards to the politics, because we know about what just happened with the TR guy the other day with the shooting and so-called. And yeah, check her out because she gives you a lot of understanding of some of the underlying, the things that are happening that just look like, you know, the regular kabuki theater, but their political game and their political theater always has spiritual underpinnings, because at the end of the day, it's just a whole lot of ritual going on all the time. So a lot of what happens in the U.S. is and everywhere, all politics tend to have this spiritual underlying, because they are doing a lot of power play, and it's a lot of spiritual warfare that's happening. So you won't really see it on the surface and understand it for what it is. But it takes someone who can see deeper or dig deeper, or someone like an astrologer who's like a real one, who can kind of see, oh, okay, well, this and this is happening, and you know what I mean, and this is impacting or causing them to want to, you know, set off war or set off this or get this going. And so there's a lot that you can learn by looking at things, you know, not with your physical eyes, but with your spiritual eyes, you know. So yeah, that is part of what's going on right now. I would say to anyone who is in the U.S. and feeling uneasy to pay attention to that. Don't just ignore it and look away and go back to grinding business as usual. Like, pay attention. If you're feeling uneasy, if you're feeling like you need to make a shift, you probably should do that. You know, you probably should break through on the fear, put together whatever plan and contingency plans you can, and come up out of there. Because I'm not, you know, and I'm not fearful. I don't move with a whole lot of fear. So I don't have fear about the U.S., but it's like, for me, it's like they're amplifying things. So it's like next level, they're always kind of trying to up the ante with things and have people more and more of a vice grip, because it's very much like becoming like a vice grip situation out there with the inflation and all of the ways that they're putting the squeeze on people. So it's like, to me, it's like it's a transition point, and they're getting ready to like go to the next level with things. So I think it's a good idea to be looking into other options, other countries, other places, especially for women and children, where you can go and feel safe and be safe, you know, ish. Nowhere is totally safe and perfect. And then really just go and settle in. Like, even me right now, I love my neighborhood. I love where I am. I love Brazil. I am in the city. I may not always want to stay in the city in Brazil. I might not want to stay in the city. I am a nature baby too. So I have been living on an island in the Caribbean on and off for years. So, you know, I don't know if we'll go back to that island, but I know that I may crave, you know, like even a more simpler lifestyle again and go back in that direction. But for now, you know, we're doing this urban thing, and it feels so much better than even being on an island in the Caribbean at this point, because it was a U.S. island. So a lot of the sickness of America was very much rampant in the Virgin Islands, even though there is a quality of people there that, you know, that doesn't touch. So there's some very quality people living on those islands, but because of how sick and colonized those islands are due to being connected to the U.S., it's just somewhere I'll be having to take a break from. I'll just put it that way, right? So But yeah, if y'all, I have a lot of stories and a lot of things. If y'all are looking for support to, get off and plan your travel or do any of these things, hit me up. I'm gonna put my link down below. But I do support people with consultations and stuff, and even more just visioning sessions. Like, what's your vision? How can we make it come to pass? How can we make it come true for you and for your children? I mostly have done consultations with women. Sometimes it's full families, but it's always people who are trying to get free and trying to get out, and not just on no fear energy, but on some, I want to make a beautiful life for my family, and this ain't it. This is just not it all the way. So yeah, hit me up again. I'll post that below, and I'm gonna be on here again later today. Check out my videos. I edited some cute little videos from around here. I think, yeah, the last one I did was at the little art place down the street from me called Beckledge Bachman. You can check that out. There's a lot of beautiful art on there, and just see how indigenous and brown people and brown women in particular are loved here in Brazil, and how they're represented so beautifully in the street art and all the things. I mean, I love that about here. So yeah, if you have any questions, link me below. Check out my links and show some love. Like the video, please. Like the video, subscribe. We're going to be bringing some more thoughtful content on travel, especially for Black women and children, right here, y'all. So peace and love. I'm getting back to this workout.